מה שקרה לאווירון אחר ליד האווירון של אבא.
Robin, this is great.
Wait. Yes.
Michal. That's 200.
Why?
Just tell me. Just to make sure I'm on your body.
שמעתי את אבא שלי.
David?
It's in 200.
אני חיכיתי לו שני שעות למעלה, אני לא יכול לחכות חצי שעה.
The smoke cleared, and man went to other places to fight his war. In the hundreds of square miles within Truck Lagoon, the scars of the monumental battle started healing quickly as the inexorable forces of nature brought serenity once more to the lagoon and its numerous islands. But a closer examination reveals that things are not quite the same as they always were. Oil still bleeds to the surface as if from some gaping wound far below, even today staining the tranquil waters with reminders of a violent past. Truck is a graveyard of metal corpses. The twisted wreckage of the implements of war lies scattered around the 40-mile-wide lagoon. The ships, planes, cannons, and tanks from man's violent world create an eerie new landscape on the bottom of the ocean. Thousands died in the battle, and unimaginable numbers of the lagoon's creatures must have been killed. When the thunder and burning left Truck, the remaining marine life found their home changed. Once the short-term ill effects of the war passed, the plants and animals of the lagoon discovered the hidden blessings of the disaster. The debris created a substrate that had long been lacking in the lagoon. Until then, the inside of the lagoon had been an oceanic plain, consisting predominantly of a featureless sandy bottom that offered little or no shelter for marine life. Coral needs a stable ground on which to build. Substrate, as this basis is called, can be any solid object affording an anchoring point for the ocean's many life forms. The outer reef of Truck Lagoon had been formed eons ago by volcanic activity and had long provided a stable anchor for its coral reefs. But now, the lagoon itself has its own substrate. Because of the thousands of tons of ships and planes that sank into the lagoon, the available living space was vastly increased. The ocean took the first step in the adaptation of the new substrate to the needs of life in the lagoon. The salt water broke down the smooth painted surfaces of the ships, corroding and pitting the metal. Rust coated the once shiny surfaces, preparing them for what was to come. Life in the form of eggs, spores, and larvae floated in the lagoon in astonishing volumes and variety. The water carried a living, nutrient-rich broth that required only an anchoring point to grow and multiply. The shipwrecks provided that surface in abundance. Quickly, the wreckage changed from barren, burnt hulks to repositories of new life. Portions of the ships were in shallow water, and the brighter sunlight attracted algae and other plants that require photosynthesis, becoming luxurious pastures. And pastures draw grazers. Fish quickly found the new feeding grounds, and soon the underwater meadows were festooned with those searching for food. The nooks and crannies of the sunken ships provided perfect protection for young fish, and the complicated metal structures became nurseries and breeding grounds. As the numbers of fish in the new homes increased, the predators began to take notice, and their arrival completed the food chain. Thus, a new ecosystem quickly developed on the wreckage of war. More complicated forms of life took longer to establish themselves and grow. Filter-feeding animals, called hydroids, attach themselves to the new substrate, their fern-like fronds waving in the warm, gentle currents and thriving in the food-rich water flowing by. The soft pink coral looks like a strange undersea tree, but the coral polyps are little animals that stretch into the water in search of food. Sponges grew on the structures of a sunken ship near hard coral polyps, which have started turning this ship into a coral reef, creating even more living space for myriads of small tropical fish. A progression of color and life rapidly changed the dead hulks to a living community. At the bottom of the lagoon, a chain digs into the sand as if to anchor a vessel in place. The sun can barely reach this ground floor of the aquatic high-rise, and life is sparse. As we ascend, sponges encrust sea whips, competing for the same food and creating abstract patterns in the dark water. Rising over the bow, we can see the explosion of life on the ship's deck. Light, access to food, and available living space create an underwater garden. This bow gun is silent now, a home for assorted corals. The rich habitat attracts organisms of all kinds, carpeting what was once a warship. The sunken vessels increased the available living space in the lagoon, but in the most attractive areas, the inhabitants were soon literally living on top of each other. From a hoist that once supported a lifeboat, now hangs a cramped cluster of sponges, oysters, and soft coral.